Listen, one of the major reasons I wanted to get you, and Mike said, like, let's see if we can get Ray Mancini. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but next month, November, which is going to be starting tomorrow, former junior middleweight title holder Carlos Molina, he's going to have a 15-round fight in Mexico. It's first time in 20 years. So what are your thoughts on this? And you know why? It's obvious why I'm asking.
Carlos Molina, 15 or 12? You're saying
15? 15. That's the thing. It's the first time in 20 years.
They're allowing it?
Huh?
They're allowing it in Mexico?
In Mexico, apparently, yeah. They're talking. It was the first time since 98 or 97 or whenever it was. And that's.
But it's not for a title, obviously.
No. He's a former, he's a former title holder, junior middleweight, right? And
yeah.
So that's why I wanted to get your thoughts. I mean, do you think they should bring that back?
I absolutely do. I've said that from the beginning. There's no substantiating evidence that fights that go 12 rounds, there's less accidents or tragedies or anything than 12 rounds. There's absolutely none. There's no substantiating proof in here. There's no substantiating proof that should the last 3 rounds more fighters get more injuries or brain injuries or anything like that. There's absolutely no substantiating proof. They did that, and whether I don't know if Michael agreed with me or not, I think it was a TV decision, not a medical decision. And the networks will tell you that, and they agree that. And most of the organizations will admit that it was a TV decision. Look, it's much easier. Look, Michael will tell you, before when I was fighting, you used to want to fight, prime time was 5 o'clock, right? This was on CBS. They have an opening. If the fight went the distance, they are, the fight went this 15 rounds, they're already into the 6 o'clock hour, most local newscasts, right? Mm-hmm. Right? So they didn't have you couldn't do a post-fight interview. It would be the pre-fight, the fight, and if it went 15 rounds, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, good night. Right, boom. But now they said, 12 rounds, and Michael tell you, 80% of fights don't go to distance anyway. So they're going by analytics. So you have an opening. You could, even if the fight went to distance, you could have a closing. Good. So and networks loved it. It made it perfect sense for them. But that's the reason why it happened. No other reason, no medical decision, nothing else. Let me tell you something. If the networks today, Mike knows, they control the boxing game. Networks control it. The network said, we're not going to show another televised boxing match, whatever network, HBO, Showtime, Fox, whatever. We're not going to show another boxing match that says 15 rounds and the network, and the weigh-ins the morning of. We'd be back to 15 rounds and then weigh-ins the morning of. But that's not the way it is.
I mean, it seems like it makes sense because I didn't know of this. I'm a young guy compared to you guys. The reason I ask, of course, and it's because of what happened in the Kim fight. And
but you know what I'm saying, Slav? Here's the thing: was that the impetus of talking about changing? Yeah, but you have to understand, the WBC did it. Well, maybe Mike knows better. 85, 86, whatever, or a couple years after. The last one, then the WBA relented a couple years after that, and then the IBF, I believe, was the last round fight, and I think that was Larry Holmes, and I might be wrong. I think it was Larry Holmes fight defending his title. What I'm saying is, and that was late '80s. So if it was such a medical thing, it would have happened right away.
Right.
It didn't happen until years later, and I'm not talking about. At least 5, 6, 7 years. So. To say it was because of my fight, that's when the talk happened. It was the impetus of it, but it wasn't the reason for changing. It was a TV decision. It made sense for them. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, you obviously answered the question before I asked it. Now, in regard to that, I always thought it might have been, and again, you can confirm it or deny it. It was more of a weight issue. He was trying to make weight. Is that?
No, I've heard that. I never heard that. I'd tell you the truth. I never heard that. He made weight. I made weight. We weighed weight together. Here's the other fact. Weigh-in was 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Like most weigh-ins should be. If you can't make the weight morning up, the night before is the true. It's always been historically forever. Weigh-ins morning up. Mm-hmm. They started the mornings the night before because, first of all, Tyson. Now it's the Mike Tyson era. Tyson. To do it on, to showcase the weigh-in, of a guy dropping trial. I don't, I don't get it. It makes no, it's, the ways that are the biggest non-events in boxing. The three biggest non-events are the NFL draft, the WBA, the NBA draft, and the pre-fight.
Day before weigh-in.
It makes nothing. So yeah. So there's the thing.
Ray, when you were coming up, I know you had a couple of fights that I had left Las Vegas then and came to New York, but you fought at the Silver Slipper 2 or 3 times.
Twice.
Every Wednesday night, twice. And they had the weigh-in at 12 noon, and then you'd fight at 7 o'clock at night.
Exactly. Yeah. You could eat then, right? Exactly.
Fighters.
That was like the amateur days, right?
99.9% of the time, both fighters made the weight.
Yes. Look, Slav. The fact is, they'll tell you the weighs in the morning. If you can't make the weigh in the morning up, you ain't. If you can't make it, a lot of guys can't make it the night before. But if you can't make it the morning up, you shouldn't be fighting in that weight class. But here's another thing. Talking about doctors, nutritionists. Doctors will tell you, nutritionists, your body only needs 4 to 6 hours to replenish. So if you do a weigh-in and you hurt to make weight, you got 6 hours. Now at the fights, I used to fight at 5 o'clock on the East Coast. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon on West Coast. So we still waited at 8 o'clock. So if you can make weight, you got a chance to have a good breakfast. After you make weight, your body will still be replenished to go into the ring by 2 o'clock. Now they're fighting at 10 o'clock at night. Forget about it. It should make no difference. 4 to 6 hours is all you need to replenish. Now, these guys weighing the night before, they go up like 22 pounds, 22 pounds. That's better. That makes more sense. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Again, it's a TV decision. Because the TV says, if you ain't making the weight the night before, you'll make it by the morning of, but you will make weight. And if you refuse to make weight, okay, then we penalize you. And it's a non-title fight. We'll still show it. You get penalized. I don't know of any fighter that wants to have money taken out of his purse. But there's some stupid fighters out there who've said, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try. And then they pay for it. I don't know. It makes no sense to me.
Well, I mean, at least I'm going back to, let's say, like the Gatti Gamache fight and the.
That's the perfect example. Arturo could make that weight. The fact that they let him on weigh in the night before, and then he went on what 22, 23 pounds. He came in 160 something. Joey came in at 141, 42, maybe 3 or 4 pounds, 5 pounds maybe. So yeah, that's perfect example too. Kid in my hometown, Kelly Pavlik. The only kids, Kelly Pavlik couldn't make middleweight since he was 14. So my point is, he weighed in the night before, right? They killed himself. They killed himself. Make it. He'd come in away. He'd come in light heavyweight.
Yeah. I mean, that's
no sense.
Another example I thought of Corrales and Castillo. I think they canceled it. There was supposed to be a third fight, right? Was that the case? And I think Castillo didn't make the weight, so Corrales said, "I'm not going to," because it's like it's a risk to him too. Like I think
Mike knows better than me. Were they supposed to fight a third time?
I think they were supposed to.
Would that might make sense if they would.
I vaguely remember that, and then they said like he said, I'm not going to do it because. I mean, I was thinking always the Gamache Gatti fight because it's just like a risk to the guy, the smaller guy,
Right. I mean, yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
The one question I had, and sort of related to the Kim fight, so in those cases where somebody has a tragic fight, some people say, some fighters, some fans, they say that maybe a guy loses his edge, in that sense. I wanted to get your take on it. Like, what do you think? Is that the case?
No, well, I've heard that. I've heard this many times. I was never the fighter I was after that I was before that. Here's what I say. Look, I still knocked guys out after that. I was still aggressive. I didn't hold back. I didn't hold me back. Once I decided to do it, I had to go through a lot of self-realization and a lot of go through prayer. Go to church, talk to my priest. Went through nights of anguish, praying for an answer, and then I decided to. Because I really felt that, I won the title. The good Lord gave me a chance to win the title and just get my security. I think for the city of Youngstown, it gave them hope in a time that was dark here, gave them a little bit of a light and all that. I mean, I was told that, and, I was told that. So that helped get me to decide. And I felt, look, it's what I do. It's what I do for a living, I don't want to live with what if. But I've always said the love was gone. you know, when I first turned pro, when I started fighting, when I turned pro, I fought. For love. I love being a fighter. I wanted to be. If I want a chance to win that title for my father, I wanted to be the best fighter for my city of Youngstown, to be the world champion for my father. I mean, that was everything. That was for me. That's why I took the shot against Aguayo when people thought it was too soon. No, when the offer was given to me, how many shots you gonna think I'm gonna get? Because my father got one shot and it was taken away from him. So, you know, and I believe if you want to challenge greatness, I mean, if you want to be great, you challenge greatness. And going after Alexa to be, you know, to be the best, you got to beat the best. So
Absolutely.
all of those things. So after that fight, though, I said this. Here's what I said. I fought. I decided to continue to fight, but the love was gone. It became a business for me.
Okay.
So
okay.
that's the difference. Now, I've heard people say I didn't have the same edge. I knocked guys out. I didn't stop. I had Bobby Chacon on the ropes. I didn't stop, hold up on him, and I love Bobby. But, you know, it didn't make me when I was cuts and bleeding and tasting my own blood, drinking my own blood during the second Bramble fight. I didn't say, "Hey man, let me get out of here." You know, just I look for the door then. So that's just, you know, it's not a valid statement.
No, I mean, I've seen, you know, sort of like, and again, as an observer, I've seen.
Well, I understand.
With Kovalev, let's say, Kovalev had that case. It didn't really stop him. I mean, he was a fighter after there was a death in one of his fights. Then again, there was the fight with the heavyweight. I think it was Perez. And he didn't. The guy didn't pass away, thankfully, but he was left injured. You know, I don't remember the heavyweight fight, Abdusalamov. And, you know, so I've sort of seen it go both ways, you know, where it affects some guys, it doesn't. And that's why.
You know, it could have very well affected Kovalev, because I'll tell you, he looked like he was a walking zombie in the Canelo fight.
But that was what I mean is, like, after the death of that one guy.
Yeah, no, I understand it. No, but I understand. But maybe it affected him down the road, because later on, like I said, when he fought Canelo, I mean, I thought he was just too big and too strong for a guy. Because I thought when he fought Ward the first time, I thought he won the fight.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they had the rematch, and he got beat like it was two different guys. He just fought the guy, and he fought his ass off and beat him. I thought he should have got the decision. Then he won the second time, and it's like it looked like he lost his edge. And then Canelo, that was like, who was that guy? That ain't the guy that I used to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know. So maybe it affected him down the road. Maybe he went in for the payday. Who knows? Who the hell knows?